All right, so this week in Pax Day, we got the update. It finally has been released from Arcadia, and now all servers have been updated with Pax Day Verse 5 patch 1.2, and we're going to talk about all of that. There's been some changes with regards to the differences in XP gains that you're getting that weren't there in the original patch notes from Arcadia. We're going to talk about all of that and a little bit more. So hello and welcome back, all of you amazingly professional consumers of Pax Day and Pax Day related content out there. I'm Altari, the professional gamer, and this is another episode of the Pax Friday Review, the show where we talk about the fun, interesting, new, and exciting information that has dropped for Pax Day over the last week. Like I said, patch notes for Verse 5 patch 1.2 are out officially. We're going to head over to playpaxday.com to talk about all of those. There's also some known issues that we're going to flag as well. So if you want to be updated on all of the things coming out for Pax Day that have come out, they're officially out actually as of the time of recording. So we're going to talk about all of that and a little bit more. Before we do, I just wanted to say thank you to all of our channel members. Thank you for supporting the channel financially. We deeply appreciate it. We can't do all the cool stuff that we do in the community without the support that you provide. And also, if you're just looking to support the channel in the best way that you can, maybe not becoming a channel member, the best thing you can do is hit that like button, subscribe so you get notified whenever we come out with new Pax Day or Pax Day related content, and share with any of your friends who are looking to stay up to date on Pax Day. Let's head over to playpaxday.com. Patch Day, patch notes. Let's get to it. Patch Day notes. Let's go. So first and foremost, we actually covered a lot of these updates. This was an update that was available on Arcadia. I know that there was some drama previously where updates didn't go to Arcadia and then they just went straight to live, and there were some issues with those patches, and that is not the case here, or at least not fully the case here. And there are a couple of critical things that are changing with this particular patch. First and foremost, crafting XP has been updated. There is a difference with how blacksmithing, weaponsmithing, armor smithing, tailoring, and leatherworking now actually gain XP for all the crafting disciplines that I did not mention, like brewing or jewel crafting or alchemy. There are going to be a different patch coming out for that with rebalancing in the future. That is not this patch. So whenever we're talking mostly about blacksmithing, armor smithing, weaponsmithing, tailoring, and leatherworking, period. Now, in addition to this, we also got some UI improvements and some recipe changes, which we're all going to cover here. We also got very laid out and detailed change for everything that's going on with some inventory and all of that. Additionally, new players, you're getting some love. New player characters or new characters now start with a placeable storage chest in their inventory, along with basic tools and weapons to get going. So we'll talk about that as well as some other UI improvements, visual styles, new emotes and moods, as well as the known issues here. But the big change comes with what is displayed at the very top: crafting XP and recipe improvements. So one thing that was changed from, at least to my knowledge, from when it was tested on Arcadia, when I was on there in the last couple of weeks, was additional XP changes with regards to failing recipes. So when you fail a recipe, it now grants up to 4 times more XP than what it was before. You're no longer getting 20 XP, you're getting 100. Congratulations. But then in addition to that, we also have trivial recipes now granting 3 times more XP than before. So again, instead of getting 100 now, maybe you're getting 300, which is still an improvement. That means that you can still grind out and craft things that are trivial in order to get to that next inflection point, as opposed to not doing that and going from there. Also important to note that these 2 additional XP changes are across the board. So not just for all the ones blacksmithing, weaponsmithing, armor smithing, tailoring, and leatherworking, not for the today changes, but also for all professions. Important to note there. Other than that, crafting material or crafting XP is going to now be based on the materials and effort required to make the item, resulting in more consistent XP gains across the recipes in a profession, as opposed to just getting a flat XP rate regardless of the materials that went in. This is a huge improvement. We're going to see a lot of people making some grinding pushes through their current bottlenecks and going to the level 40s, I believe, at this point. It is, without saying, still a difficulty getting to that point. It was too difficult for people to get to level 40 before, more than likely. So it's important that they make this change. I know that there are people who are on the higher end at around level 40 already, and those people are saying, hey, I don't want it to be easier for people. I don't think that it's going to change drastically the number of people who get to the higher levels. And we also have to understand that in the future, level 40 isn't going to be the end point. There's at least 2 other crafting tiers, which means at least 20 other levels that are going to come for each of our crafting disciplines as well. And then now there's also specializations that were mentioned. So there's more stuff to come. Other than that, for recipes, so armor recipe difficulty has been rebalanced within each tier to provide meaningful crafting choices for multiple equipment slots throughout progression. I think a big change here for steel windlash, I had it reported to me that is now a level 37 craft. So things in some cases got a lot harder to make, but this is a part of the rebalancing between all of the various tiers so that when you're leveling up, you have more options to actually level up with, as opposed to being forced into one way or the other. So more variety is actually a good thing, even though now the pieces that you're trying to craft might be further away. The difficulty gap between common, uncommon, and rare armor pieces now scale a lot smoother at the higher tiers. Earlier tiers still retain the larger difficulties differences, but then the higher tiers offer a closer difficulty between the rarities. That's mostly because there is less people that are getting to that point, but they still want commons to be common, uncommons to be uncommon, and rares to be rare. Material costs for two-handed weapons have been slightly increased, and these items now grant higher XP as a result. Material costs for two-handed weapons, while that's one thing, the charcoal costs for smelting steel have been reduced to 150. Increased material costs for tier 1 uncommons. Again, they're just making things cost a little bit more. Adjusting stack sizes to fix most cases where crafted outputs took up more inventory space than their ingredients. So you should always, whenever you're crafting, the idea here is that you should be reducing the amount of stuff that you are making, not increasing it. Adjusted the stack size accordingly, but then the limestone building set is now significantly stronger than wooden counterparts and provides more integrity. This is huge for those who are participating in building. Before, limestone was something that it wasn't really, it had effectively the same strength as wood. At least when I was building, I treated it mostly like wood in that way, but now limestone gives significantly more integrity, so now you can start building higher pieces as well. Then we have limestone pillars and other reinforcement pieces now granting more stability than limestone walls. So pillars now grant better stability than walls. One thing that they did not specify here, though, is are walls getting a debuff, or is it just pillars getting a buff? That's an important thing to specify. Then also they fixed several tool and weapon recipes that were using incorrect components, removed the steel anvil head recipe, which it's currently not being used. Hint, hint, might be getting put back in the game for when the comfort system comes in. Just a thought, just a hypothesis, I guess you could say. Linseed oil now requires less materials to craft. I know this was a really big struggle for a lot of people, the crafting out of linseed oil. Fixed an issue where the wooden shield did not grant XP. Bronze bars, most weapons and tools require a shaft or a hilt. So they also redundantly required additional coarse leather bands in the final combination. So the idea here is if you already had to use the leather in the hilt or the handle, then you shouldn't have to also use the leather in the final product too. So they made some updates there. A few example of recipe adjustments. The iron battle axe needed 2. Now it only needs 1 axe blade, the same as the wrought iron and the steel. Bronze pickaxe needs only 1 instead of 2 bronze bars. So they were changing and modifying a lot of the actual requirements for these recipes. So they also have component recipe size increases. They updated the default size of many components. They also changed with the goal of striking a balance where the meaningful time savers for active crafters who need to mass produce components, they don't need to create friction for newer players in their initial crafting, and they don't accidentally introduce new bottlenecks. For example, being able to process materials because you cannot meet a new minimum batch size of materials. So they don't want to create other issues by making it so, you can craft more due to stack sizes. They initially tested larger sizes of these on the PTS, but following our feedback, they tuned them down and hopefully found the right balance point that will satisfy most players. So this was changed based on feedback from Arcadia. They updated it accordingly before they released it. And then recipes now follow the same ratio as before. So if a recipe says 1 to 2, that means it now might produce 2 components instead of only 1. And now we have all of the crafting ratios being updated. Looks like carpentry across the board is getting a 2x multiplier. So whatever was existed before is now multiplied by 2. Then for blacksmithing, we have what looks to be another 2x for arrowheads, nails, sheets, and spikes. But then for wire, we have slightly higher than that to get up to 10, and then back to a 2x multiplier from before to after. Pretty much, again, same across the board for most of these in terms of what the crafting ratios were for them. So now for fur leather, instead of getting 1, you're getting 2, but that also means the inputs are changing as well for that. So again, don't forget the ratio is still staying the same. It's just now changing in terms of what you're getting from the outputs and what inputs you get. For tailoring, everything's getting 2x'd, but then linen, wool, and cotton string is getting a 2.5x. And then sewing needles, this is one of the bigger changes across all of them. We're going from 10 to 50. That's also very important. Now, with all of these changes, in addition to some additional ratio changes, we got new stack sizings. So again, if you're able to craft all of these new things like sewing needles, if the stack size was 100 before, and they increase the output 5 times, and they need to also increase the stack size 5 times. And that's why we got the 500 stack increase. Horn needles increased as well. So this is changing and adjusting the amount of storage that players need, or in most cases, just allowing players to stockpile and store more materials on top of that. Mastercrafting. So they did introduce Mastercrafting. For anyone who wasn't here for the Arcadia preview, Pax Friday review, what happens is at 95% crafting or more, so when the blue bar goes to 95% or higher, that's when you get plus 50 item power in a Mastercraft. You also get your name identified and a cool little icon showing that it's a Mastercrafted item. New players are starting with a storage chest and basic crafting tools, so we're getting away from the very initial player experience of you get in, you have to go collect wood and stone and then craft your various tools, and they're just giving them to you automatically. I think this is actually a good choice because sometimes players, this is actually probably based off of initial player feedback, and they made the decision to just give it to players so that they don't have to go through that extra barrier to entry. Simple chests are being renamed to storage chests. The recipes being reduced from 12 to 9. And new characters are receiving a free storage chest in their inventory. Place a plot to store items, storage 32. So this is even queuing people, hey, you need to place your plot in order to actually get the benefit of this. So hopefully this little bit of information gives players the hint of what they need to do. For gameplay, they did some experimental fixes on how NPCs are spawned in the game. They're looking for feedback on this. They also fixed several different issues with regards to what game stability is there. They also thankfully fixed an issue with the Sylvan staff overgrowth, now applying direct healing. A couple of these also, one of the bane of my existence as a tank in a dungeon. When you die, if you die to mob projectiles, then your corpse is getting duplicated. I've had 30 duplicated corpses in one case. That hurts performance, I can tell you that. Then we also have slash commands coming in. All you have to do is type slash, and then a lot of these will come up and they will autofill as needed. A really cool feature. And then also user interface, the character menu. This one's big, huge quality of life improvement. It's been updated with all the stats so that you can see now your average item power, all of the other stats that are coming in. And now that's been moved over to the right-hand side as opposed to the old UI, which was on the left. The clan menu has been updated. This is probably in preparation for the new permissions that are coming in at a later date. Item details, all attributes and stats are shown in the details panel of an item. And they have received unique item icons to improve their recognition. And then there were a bunch of other UI improvements that were here as well, mostly with regards to just old bugs that existed with the UI, like the gold splits, as well as party notifications and other things not popping up as they were supposed to. Some localization changes as well. And then we got some art and visual improvements where they actually improved the spotability of resources, taking the small, low resource clusters, putting them into larger clusters, and making them more visible. And this improves the readability of the biomes. It's actually a really good change. I think most people are going to really be receptive of these, especially the ones who are looking for them on an active time, where people are actually able to identify them. We also got new emotes and moods. Lots of new moods. If you press C, you'll see them. You have to press it after opening up your initial emotes. You can switch over to the moods tab. And we also got some new emotes as well. So go ahead and check those ones out. Also, you can actually type while sitting now. That's a big improvement for anyone who's RPing. Before, when you sat down, if you went to press enter and type something, your character would immediately stand back up. No longer the case. Some other known issues. They know the clan invite notifications N only appears for a second. Messages written in zone chat will not show above the character's head. And then the /clan promote has an issue with it as well. There's also a couple of different UI element issues that came up. And then for combat, characters are unable to strafe when using a one-handed weapon or staff. That's a problem. And then also goats initiate aggression against players based on proximity, not intended, as well as a couple of other issues with regards to that. But nothing too major just yet. But as more players are getting exposed to it, instead of just being on Arcadia, if you do notice anything, be sure to hit that F10, F9. I believe it's F10 now. My keybinds have changed, but go ahead and hit that feedback button in game and send it over to the devs. They will read it, review it, and put it on the list of things to change. This is the patch. We might get one more minor patch coming in for verse 5, but this is the one that we know that we're for sure getting. There might be one more before verse 6, and they've already started. Work's already underway for the next steps, the next bits of improvement for Pax Dei. And we should be seeing more updates come into Arcadia in the very near future. Hopefully you enjoyed staying up to date with all of the Pax Dei notes. I know I did, but I'm looking forward to getting to play all of these with the new crafting dynamics, the new abilities to level up probably faster, or at least with what feels faster because you're building more useful items along the way. I'm looking forward to all of that. These changes look very good in my opinion. Also, the ability to do new emotes and moods, always fun. But let me know down in the comments what you found the most interesting with the update that came out in game today. What are you missing? What are you most looking forward to? Let me know down in the comments. But until the next video, I'm Altari the Professional Gamer.